Hey folks, Dave Isaacs with you, and I wanted to do a quick mini lesson today on the great Gordon Lightfoot's song Sundown, partly because it is a fantastic beginner strum song with all kinds of cool little details you can bring in if you want to jazz it up a little. So first of all, I'm capoed on the 2nd fret, and be aware that that means we are moving every chord you play up a whole step. In other words, I've made the neck shorter by 2 half steps, and so when I play what looks like an E chord, what's really coming out is an F sharp, because moving up 1 fret makes the E an F. Moving up 2 frets makes it an F sharp. We're really just using 3 chords in this song. According to shapes, it's E, A, and D. I'm sorry, 4, and then there's a B. Now, you can think of this as E, A, D, and B. Nothing wrong with that. If you are playing with another musician, say for example a bass player, you do need to be aware that for them, everything is a step higher. So sounding pitch is F sharp, B, E, and C sharp. Again, if you're playing alone, or if you don't really have to communicate with other players to tell them what you're doing, then you just think in terms of the capo key, because otherwise the mental gymnastics gets complicated. So our basic groove is like this. Do, da, do, da, do, da, do, da. Now, that's a simplistic strum, and all I'm doing is swinging. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. Now, the part is played on a 12-string guitar, and so the sound is a little bit different. We can do a couple of things to get closer to it. First of all, the chord that Lightfoot actually plays is not an E major formation, but an E5 power chord, in which I am playing a 2-string partial bar with my index finger covering strings 5 and 4 at the 2nd fret from the capo. And you could use ring here, but I like pinky on the 4th fret up from the capo of the 3rd string. What this does is it gives us root, 5th, root, 5th, doubled open B, 5th, and high E octave. And so we have really what would be an E5, or we would simply say that this is neither major nor minor, but a ringing open power chord. Now, if you want to get more of the sound of the song, we're going to emphasize the upstrums some more. And you don't have to get the perfect feel of this. Like if you don't imitate the rhythm exactly, it will still feel like the song. But check this out. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. If you find that challenging to count, then keep in mind that just swinging your arm articulates all those 8 notes. They're all there on your upstrokes. You might find it helpful to think in groups. Say 1, 2, 3, and 4, up, and 4, up, da, da. It's like 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now, that bends my brain a little to count it that way because I really am keeping track of the meter, and ultimately I think that's a better understanding, but at the same time, you want to go with what works. So this is a great sounding chord, and we're going to stick with this for right now. I want to point out that if you watch video of Gordon Lightfoot playing the song, he plays his B as a power chord as well, just bringing from this E5 the ring finger over to the 4th fret up from the capo, 4th string. We get a familiar power chord shape, and if we allow the open B to ring, I'm also muffling the low E and kind of avoiding the high E. Although if that high E got in there, it wouldn't really hurt anything. Like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. following the vocal rhythm here. Sundown, you better take care if I find you been creeping round my back stair. If you find that challenging, then what I would suggest is that you start off just talking the rhythm. Sometimes I think it's a shame. Da da dee da da dee da 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 da. If you find it challenging to tap the beat while you do that, then just walk or sway. Anything you can do to get a sense of a pulse in your body so that when you articulate the lyric or even just the da 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 rhythm, da 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 dee da da da, you can start to find how that rhythm lines up with that underlying pulse that you feel in your body. This is a fundamental rhythm skill. In fact, arguably it's the fundamental rhythm skill. If it's something you struggle with, recognize that it's a skill you can improve and that ultimately the thing you're doing is learning how to feel a steady pulse to the point that it becomes a yardstick, a reference that you can move against. So you know when to play because you can feel the beat. Now, there's some cool guitar riffs through all of this. And I want to bring in a little bit of E7 because the guitar riff does go from this to this. If we're keeping this same partial bar, then ring and pinky can come down on fret 4 of the G string, fret 3 of the B string. Keep that index finger crooked outward. Notice that my thumb has to come down a bit for this. The more aware you are of how downstrokes versus upstrokes bring out bass versus treble, the more you'll be able to articulate that sense of boo, boo, ba-da, ba-da-da. The high notes essentially answering the low notes. So, if you're playing the song from the beginning, we might start off like this. And then back to this E, power chord B, and E5. A and a D. Now, you can throw in that E7 in between, or if you want to fancy it up a little more, drop down to a straight E major position and play an E7 or even a little lick. So maybe that goes something like this. Again, I'm not listening to the original recording at this moment. We want to get close enough that you have the flavor of it without being bogged down by having to have every exact note. So we might do something like this. E5, E5. E7. Now, one last little advanced detail, if you're feeling up to it. We can imitate more of the sound of the 12 string if we take this power chord and voice it up here. This is, now with the capo on here, when you move up this far, Visually, it's kind of hard to count this as 7 frets up from the capo. I end up visually just identifying the 9th fret and thinking of it as an F sharp. So again, a little mental gymnastics. I think the visual, even just having the fret marker there on 9, is helpful. So this is open E, 7, 9, 9 relative to the capo, or 9, 11, 11. I hope that doesn't confuse you. I know some people complain when I give you options, but I think mental flexibility is important. So if you find you get confused, just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and use the fret marker to your advantage. Now, this sounds good. It's just a little more transparent. This has more low end. If I want to really imitate the 12 string, and this is the advanced part, I'm going to get my index finger over here to the 7th fret of the high E, and then and sometimes I'm lifting that finger. Now this is not easy. But this, see, it's easy to inadvertently pull the string off the side of the neck. But another way you can help this is if you think about the fingers as being paired, that ring and pinky are side by side here. It's really the 11th fret of the 3rd and 4th strings. And then index middle can stack up one on top of the other as well. And when you think of your fingers pairing like this, I think you will find that you have more coordination, because I will contend that this is more the natural design of the hand, is for the fingers to work together. There is so much more strength in paired fingers. So if you want to try the advanced thing, I'm going to start like this and just play through a chorus. Following the vocal, ba dee da dee da da do da ba, da dee da da. A lot in there for a simple song. You can play it in very, very, very fundamental ways, or you can throw in more of these fun details, which are not terribly hard to play. This business with imitating the 12 string is a bit of a stretch for probably many of you, but it's fun to try, and truthfully, exploring this paired fingers idea is a really good one. You just have to make sure that the hand will sit in a way that the fingers can either curl as needed to reach a string they're right next to, or extend to reach a string that they have to reach across the neck for. I hope you have enjoyed this lesson. I have been remiss. I haven't posted an Essential Songs lesson in quite a while, so let this be the beginning. I keep saying this every time I put them up, but I do plan to post a whole lot more coming up in the coming months. So thank you for watching. Thank you for your support and the success of this channel, and I will see you next time.